Welcome to Two Poor Artists, where we're poor at swimming in tide pools, but mostly we're poor at making art. I'm Isaac.
And I'm Kaylin.
And this week, we are going to be doing a drawing.
That we are, Isaac.
Because that is what happens on Two Poor Artists, even when one of the two poor artists is absent and not here today. We still have to have art. It's what the people demand.
I can hear them banging on the door
Yeah.
right now from the studio.
Just imagine.
Them just demanding that they are provided with more poor art.
Yeah, imagine how bad it would be if we didn't give the people what they want. They would break down the doors and force our hands to make poor art.
And it would be even poorer than it otherwise would be, so we better just give the people what they want.
We need to give the people what they want. It's true. Today we are going to be doing a drawing, but first I just want to fill you in a little bit about what the two poor artists have been up to. You see, this past couple of days, Benj and I have been traveling. That's right, traveling. And not just traveling separately, not just traveling for vacation. We've been traveling on a two poor artist road trip. That's right. We had traveled all the way across the beautiful state of Arizona into the not so beautiful state of California, into the even grosser state of Nevada, all to visit our number one fan and bring her a custom-made book. Now, we recorded over 200 little videos during that trip. We're cutting them all together, but eventually you will get to see the two poor artist road trip, and it is something to behold. It is the only road trip I know of that's filled with so much poor art. You just don't know what to do with yourself.
And let me tell you, I've seen just a couple of these clips beforehand, just as a sneak peek, as you know, a VIP in the studio. And ooh, let me tell you guys are all in for a treat.
Yep, that's what VIP access gets you in the studio. You get to see clips beforehand. I will give a shout out to our number one fan, Carla, because she let us drive all the way across the state and come to her house and give her stuff. And she showed us all her reptiles and fed us a lovely lunch. I'll also give a shout out to Ben. Ben is a cashier at Bevmo here in Chandler, Arizona, and we met him and he helped us on the road trip also. Played an integral part in the end of our road trip. So you can look forward to that, just like I'm sure you're looking forward to poor art today. So what are we going to draw today, Kaylin?
Well, you know what? You've been telling about the official two poor artist road trip that you went on just a couple of days ago.
It's true.
But recently, just a couple of weeks ago, I, as well as, a couple other friends, including, Isaac and Ben, we went on a different road trip just to go visit the beach and relax because it's summertime and just get some vitamin C, SEA.
Yes, indeed.
And while we were at the beach in California, we went to visit some tide pools.
Yes.
So
Down in La Jolla Shores tide pools full of crabs and water and
more crabs.
And that's about it. We didn't see anything incredibly interesting there.
There's
It was
a couple
quite sad.
of anemones that were looking a little sad, but
It's true, they did look sad. But nonetheless, today we are going to draw tide pools for you.
that we are.
Yeah, it's going to be wonderful. Wonderfully poor. Although we have Kaylin here today, so it might be slightly less poor than normal. Unless that was supposed to be a straight line, then it's just as poor as normal.
That was not supposed to be a straight line. So right now it's kind of just right on par.
See, that's encouraging. That's encouraging when it's not supposed to be a straight. It's really easy to not make a straight line.
See, pro tip when drawing, if you're trying to make a straight line, just don't.
Yeah.
If you
no.
claim that it's not going to be a straight line, that way when it isn't a straight line, because it just won't be, no one will be disappointed.
Yeah, no one will know. Yeah, like, completely honest with you, there's not that many straight lines in the world to begin with. Like, it's hard to have a straight line. Go out walking sometime. Try to find an actually straight line. You probably won't. Like, there's not many straight lines in nature. No tree is a perfectly straight line. No fish is a perfectly straight line. Nothing really. Straight lines are just a myth. Ah, the tide pool. We really didn't see anything interesting in the tide pools, although there were lots of little snails that I kept accidentally stepping on. It was quite sad.
Yeah, there's lots of snails. There is so many barnacles and
Mm.
stuff on the rocks too. And
Oh yeah, those things are
it's
sharp.
kind of interesting. So when you're coming from, the desert, seeing
Yeah, that's true. When you come from Arizona, anything next to the water is just fascinating. At least for me. You just see a puddle and you just get excited. Then you see things living in the puddle and you get even more excited. And that's basically what tide pools are, just puddles full of things that are living. Like if we had puddles here in Arizona that were just full of stuff, I'm pretty sure I'd visit them here. But alas, there are no puddles.
Nope, not at all. We just live in the land of just dry, dry dirt.
Dry,
Some
dry dirt.
dust.
Mm-hmm.
The occasional cactus and
Tumbleweeds.
sometimes even a tumbleweed. I have seen tumbleweeds around here.
Yeah. Like those aren't things that are just in movies. They exist like on our streets. Sometimes they all pile up and they become like a nuisance. This looks like a swimming pool. No. I see it is because there's water lines, just traditional wavy water lines.
Because that is just what water looks like, Isaac.
It is what water looks like. Yeah. Go look at water tonight, right now. It'll look like that. Definitely not going to be blue. See, that's the weird thing. People always say the water's blue. It's just not. Like,
I mean, it's nice when the water does appear blue, but most often when you look at the water, if
Mhm.
it's not like from the tap into your cup
yeah.
to drink, it's usually more of this like a weird green color.
Yeah, it's
Sometimes
usually.
even brown. It's just,
Uh-huh.
water is not blue. It's kind of gross
I
unless
think-
it's been gone through, your whole reverse osmosis
Mhm,
filter system.
It's true. It's true. I will say, though, you really captured the true essence of water in black and white here. Because if you hadn't put those squiggly lines, we'd never even know there was water in that pool.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta
And now we have
make it clear.
the ranger from Yogi Bear coming to check on the tide pools. Unless, of course, that's like you. You had a beach hat.
I did have a beach hat.
You had a beach hat. Kayla had a beach hat. I had a hat, but it wasn't a beach hat. Benj didn't have a hat. The only hats Benj believes in are artist hats. And even that's iffy. I will say on our road trip, though, we dressed appropriately for artists. Like, when people saw us on the road trip multiple times, they're like, oh, you guys are artists. We can tell because of how you look.
You can tell you're an artist because of the way it is.
Because of the way it is.
It's pretty neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. We just give off that aura. The artist aura. Just the way we naturally dress is just who we are. Oh, this person suddenly got scary. Their eye is a little... Well, I mean, they're
I
smiling.
think it's cute.
You can't be scary if you're smiling. That's just a fact of life. You're also doing one of those things that Benj and I really struggle with, which is like perspective. Like he's behind something.
See,
That or
that
he's
is
just...
also just an age-old artist trick, because when you start drawing something too low, just have
Mhm.
him behind something
Yeah,
so that you don't
see?
have to just make him real short, because otherwise I could have just given him legs.
Yeah.
Or
He-
he could be behind the rock.
Or he could be like a snail and is just kind of like sliding across the ground with his butterfly net. Or it's a fish net. Or I think that's it. Actually, that's it. There's only two kinds of nets: fish nets and butterfly nets. Can you think of another kind of net? Of course not.
The inter.
Ah,
The
the internet. I stand corrected. There are three, and we are using one of them right now, and so are you. We've trapped you in our net on the internet. Here you are, forced to watch poor art. You can't go anywhere. You can't turn it off. Although it seems like some of you have figured out a way to do it. But don't do it. Don't turn off the art. Just embrace it.
Just let it happen.
Yeah, embrace it. Physically embrace it. Like go up to your TV set, your computer, your phone. Give us a hug. A net hug. You remember back in the day, were you ever on Facebook Messenger when you could, what was it? You could like flick people or pinch people or what was that?
Oh, and you could poke people.
Poke people. That's what it was.
I think technically you
Poke.
still can.
Can you?
It's a feature. It's kind of buried.
Mm.
But last I heard, it still existed. But yes, it was still around when I first joined Facebook, way back when in 2012.
Yeah, it was a while ago. I feel like it was like one of the main features. Like people got Facebook Messenger just so they could poke people because that's like what they wanted, you know? People were looking for ways to poke people that they didn't live directly next to. Oh, it's a crab. Is that an eye?
It was supposed to be.
Yeah, no, I mean it works. It's drooping a little bit, but you know, that's just how crabs are. Like Mr. Krabs. Oh, it's like a swirly snail.
As all snails are.
I think that's
Should
true.
be.
It's true. You believe people eat snails? You ever seen a snail like I don't even know how to describe the movement of a snail. Flopping around on the ground, sliding, oozing its way across the ground. And thought, you know what, I bet that tastes good. Honestly, there's nothing in the ocean that should be put in your mouth. That's just like a rule of thumb.
Generally speaking. But that being said, like I generally say I don't like seafood, but I think I'm kind of coming around. I did go with a couple of friends. A couple of nights ago, we went to go visit this sushi place.
Ah,
Have you
yes.
ever had conveyor belt sushi before?
I've never had conveyor belt sushi, but I know the concept. I've seen the pictures, watched the videos. But seeing as though I avoid sushi like the plague, I've never actually had it. It looks fun though. They should serve more things on conveyor belts.
That's what we were saying when we were at the restaurant. Like, can you imagine what if you went to just like a pizza conveyor belt place where just slices of pizza
Oh
come
man,
by and you
see?
can just you see, oh, that's a slice of pizza that looks intriguing and good. I'm just gonna take that plate and try it.
That would be fantastic. We can implement that in the Two Poor Artists Hotel
I
as
think you should.
part of one of the buffets. There's just a constant buffet conveyor belt of pizza slices. That would be incredible. Because, you know, you always go to pizza places and you want to try like different kinds of pizza, right?
Yeah. It's like you could have go to a buffet, but that involves, having to get up from the table.
Yeah, I know. So that's the last thing you want at a
And
buffet.
no, I'm just like
Buffets are about
stay at your table. You don't have to like leave your belongings behind if you
Yeah.
have like a purse or something. You don't have to
exactly. You're
leave
always
that behind. You can just stay in your seat and
yeah.
just
You go to buffets with
let the food come to you. We even had our drinks served to us by a robot.
what? See, robots and conveyor belts. All restaurants should have them. It just makes it more fun. Like, sure, people need jobs too, but so do robots. Nobody ever talks about the robots, the unemployed robots. There's probably more unemployed robots than there are people, because I imagine most robots aren't actually employed.
Yeah, most of them are probably still living in their parents' basements.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. They live down there, one day hoping to work in a conveyor belt sushi restaurant.
Yep. Or just hoping to make it big as an AI or something.
Mm-hmm. I vow today that when the Two Poor Artists Hotel opens, we will employ robots and give them jobs. But they can't make art. No, we won't. We won't let robots make art. That's a strictly human thing. Robots are too good at art. Like, they can do perfectly straight lines. It's unnatural. What is that one? That one's scary. I don't remember seeing anything like that at the tide pools. If I did, I probably would have run away.
You didn't see any giant Tide Pods at the
Oh,
Tide pools?
the
I
Tide
saw
Pods.
them all over the place.
Oh
I
man,
mean, these are Tide Pods in their natural habitat.
I've never seen Tide Pods in their natural form with legs and pincers.
Yeah, they do rather inhumanely remove those
Yeah.
before packaging them for
Tide Pods.
domestic use.
How unfortunate. Yeah, because you always get Tide Pods. People say not to eat Tide Pods too. I didn't know that's just because it was seafood and it's gross.
Yeah, it's definitely PETA at play. So,
They're the ones saying don't eat Tide Pods, huh?
yeah.
Well,
It's
I'll also say
definitely not the CDC and the FDA.
no. I think the
all
two
of those
poor
places.
artists legal team also would like me to state you should not eat Tide Pods. We in no way endorse eating Tide Pods because they're seafood and it's gross. Yeah, they're giving me a look, which means I probably said something right or wrong. Don't eat Tide Pods. You don't know where they came from. Although, I will say, I don't remember any swimming pools down at the tide pools. Is that just full of, oh, more Tide Pods? Yeah, Tide Pods have that whole like swirly thing going on them.
Yeah, they're kind of hard to draw, but
Like this was like a thing when Tide Pods were like first becoming popular. You know, when people realized you could take them and apparently clean your clothes with this creature. They're kind of like sponges. It's amazing how many cleaning instruments come from just creatures in the ocean, right? Like you scrub yourself and your car down with a sponge harvested from the bottom of the ocean. You clean your clothes with Tide Pods. You brush your teeth with seaweed. You use stingray stingers as toothpicks. Is really quite interesting.
there's a lot of different uses for sea animals, and some of which
Yeah.
can be endorsed, and some of which just should never be spoken of ever again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's true. Are they capturing those Tide Pods or putting them in that pool? Like they come to this guy is like a Tide Pod harvester. Is that what I'm gathering? Like he comes to the Tide Pod pools
Oh yes,
on behalf of
yeah.
Tide.
It's like you've heard of like beachcombers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They come
Mm-hmm.
to the beach to collect, all the strange items. Well, that's just their guys. Really, they're just Tide Pod poachers.
Tide Pod poachers. The worst, man. Should leave those Tide Pods where they are. If you take them out of the ocean, people might eat them.
I was supposed to say Tide on there, but this is poor art.
I like it when the logo falls off the container. Like that's my favorite kind of logo.
Definitely has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that just the pen and where it was on the screen just didn't align. But that's definitely
the pen definitely doesn't
just,
like.
It's just poor art. It's just the way it is.
The pen dictates how poor art is supposed to go. That's why we use pens, and we don't erase. Oh, there's someone back there. It's much taller.
Someone has to be holding the bucket while
Yeah.
dumping the Tide Pods into the Tide pool.
I will say, Tide Pod Poacher Man is the friendliest looking poacher I've ever seen. Like if I saw him poaching, I'd probably just like give him a nod.
That's what they do is they want to appear super friendly, so that people leave them alone, so that they can carry on with their nefarious business.
This is kind of conflicting because like I have like Tide Pods in the laundry room right over there. The studio laundry room that we definitely have. We use it to wash our clothes when we get ink on them.
This is true. All good art studios have a laundry room.
Yeah, they have to, right? It's a little rough though because when you get ink on your clothes, you just can do nothing about it. But it makes you feel better when you try to wash it. Tide Pods aren't strong enough to deal with black ink though. Few things in life are stronger than black ink. Black ink is the best ink because it's the strongest ink. Man. Tide Pod poachers. I don't remember seeing any Tide Pods at the Tide pool. We must have gone to a different kind. I saw the Downy pods, and I saw what's the one with?
I think I saw the Gain Flings.
I saw that Snuggle Bear. You ever gotten Snuggle before?
Oh yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
He was running around. He was having a good time at the beach. Yeah, that was unrelated though. He was just there as a visitor, a tourist like us. Man, Tide Pod poachers. It's impressive actually because they have to bring like a whole inflatable swimming pool with them just to poach.
Oh yes.
They come like early in the day and set that thing up.
I think probably why we didn't see any Tide Pod poachers because they go early in the morning. That's when Tide Pods are most active. We went a little later in the morning.
I could never be a Tide Pod poacher for that reason alone.
We went close to lunchtime, so
yeah,
they usually are done with all of their
that's the thing.
collecting by 9 a.m.
This is a little advice for poachers. If you want to be a good, successful poacher, you got to do it early in the morning because no one's getting up early enough to stop you. No one. No one's waking up at the crack of dawn just to stop a poacher. They're like, yeah, they might be stealing Tide Pods, but can we just wait till lunch to stop them? I also couldn't be a Tide Pod poacher stopper for that reason. Is this guy behind the pool really short, or is the pool just really tall?
I think it might be a combination. I think it's a medium-sized pool with a short guy behind it.
Medium-sized pool, short guy. Man. So is it like Tide Pods, like as they mature and they get older, they sprout legs and they grow pincers, or like only the males have it?
I think it's as they get bigger,
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
they
makes
grow
sense.
them. They're kind of like they're usually harvested kind of like close to their tadpole
Oh, I see.
form.
Yeah. That's what happened if you threw like a full-grown Tide Pod in your washing machine. It would, like shred your clothes. Look at that thing.
Yeah,
It'd run away from you.
I think that's what you do when you have like extra tough stains.
So
It,
it
it
like
just
it like
it
fights
just
your
real it
clothes.
just
It
real it just real it scares the stains away.
bites the stain out,
Yeah,
scratches it with its legs.
better put that L on there.
Mm. Yeah, no, that would have been much
That
worse.
stayed without that a
You
little
don't
too long. I
you
apologize,
you don't
everybody.
you don't want to see the Tide poo. It's like we established that pool was full of water. It's a good thing you caught that. Uh, Tide Pod poachers. Yeah, this is good poor art. You know, I'm impressed too because you're using like a thin setting on the pen.
Yeah, I was already set on here, and you know what? I
Extra
decided to
extra detailed
just
drawing.
roll with it.
And there's like 3D things in this pool. There's people behind pools, people behind rocks. There's a net that's clearly 3D. 3D Tide Pods. You always put us to shame when you're on the channel. There's like elements of art that poor artists just can't wrap their heads around. Lovely.
There we go. Tide pools.
Tide
This
pools.
is exactly what we saw in California a couple weeks ago.
That is exactly what I remember seeing.
I mean, except for we didn't. But I mean, except for the tide poachers, they were all done by the time we got
Yeah,
there.
you know,
But
it's complicated.
yeah,
Early
like
morning poaching.
we saw some like gain and snuggle poachers, but we left them alone.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with those guys.
Yeah.
They're not nearly as friendly as Tide Pod poachers.
Yeah, we know our limits. We sometimes just have to leave well enough alone, and they will get their just desserts eventually.
They get desserts?
Oh yeah,
What kind?
crab cakes.
Crab cakes for dessert?
Yeah, I mean,
That sounds way better.
a cake. Yeah, that's pretty great. But
All right, I just gotta save this real quick. Y'all can just keep admiring it. Next time you see a Tide Pod poacher too, make sure you shake their hand.
you might want to wash your hands afterwards, though. They've been, touching Tide Pods in the wild.
Yeah, you don't want to catch Tide Pod disease.
No, there's just so many yeah, seaborne illness it's no joke. But not all Tide Pod poachers are as well prepared in bringing their own pool. Sometimes they just keep them in their 5-gallon buckets, and they have to just carry these giant buckets across the beach back to
Man, that's rough.
their vehicle to take it back to wherever it is, probably their laboratory or something, where they have all their incubators and.
I never knew there was so much that went into Tide Pods.
Oh yeah, it's a very lucrative
This
but
is basically like
dubious business.
this is basically like a documentary today on how Tide Pods are harvested. It's pretty good. Pretty good. I'm learning a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Learning
yeah,
a
no.
lot. Yeah.
There's so much to know. There's just
This
so
channel's
many.
pretty. This channel is surprisingly educational.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's not. We don't just teach you how to do art, like which we do,
Yeah,
mostly.
there's art. There's life lessons. There's just practical knowledge.
There's good
about the world
advice,
around us.
right? I gave poachers advice today, right? Like
Oh,
I
yeah,
gave them
that's
advice, yeah, how not to get caught. I'm not saying it's like good advice or advice for good people, but it's advice. Nonetheless, you learn something. Now the question is, what do I draw? What do I draw for tide pool? Tide pool. Because, like, you know, you could do like there's lots of good pool puns, I'm sure.
I mean, there's lots of things that could be tied.
No, I see. That's exactly right. Right, like the tide pool. You know, that's what I was just tied, but the pools are tied.
Can pools be tied?
Okay, I think we're I think we're good. Let's start with a table, as you do.
And see, as said before, just that wasn't supposed to be a straight line
No,
because those are just impossible. The world doesn't have
yeah,
those.
straight lines are a myth, unless a robot is drawing them, which is how you know if it's robot art.
It's true.
People are so concerned about AI and stuff today. They're like, was that an AI image? Is that a real image? Is that just look for straight lines. If they exist, it was made by something not human
That's
because
true.
humans can't draw straight lines. It is a well-established fact of
Yeah,
humanity.
people will just they'll get all in a huff like, oh, you can tell it's AI art because that picture has person in that picture has 11 fingers and 12 toes and
Yeah, but here's the
but
thing. Poor art also has that
the thing
sometimes.
is you just know that the hand mangler meant them.
Yeah, exactly,
So
right?
it's just
I can't tell you. Like, if you looked at our
that's
art, you're going to think an AI did it, but no, just a poor artist.
oh yeah.
Just an artist.
Or is this like a lesson in basic shapes with you know a trapezoid with legs and a cylinder?
Yeah, that's what I was going for. Uh-huh. Now this is different. This is uh-huh. Yeah. I want you just to forget that those lines ever existed, which is what shading was invented for. Some people think shading was invented to make it look more realistic. Now, shading is invented simply to hide things in art that you never intended to be there in the first place.
Oh yes.
Everyone kind of knows that. Like, you know when you've scribbled over something because it's not supposed to be there. Artists just call it shading, you know?
So now it's just a couple of rectangles with legs.
Yeah. Hmm. And they've got
Just
these.
a couple of piano keys.
This is what they call a pool table.
Oh.
You can tell because of how it is,
Because of the way it is.
the way it is. Yeah. He's got these pockets in the corners.
Oh.
Like, you can tell if you have a fancy. You ever seen like a fancy pool table versus a not fancy pool table?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Some of them have like those like they have like leather pockets, and you're like, oh man,
yeah.
those are just incredible.
See, there was a pool table at my grandparents' house when I was growing up,
Oh yeah.
and it was fairly fancy. It had like some fringe going around the edge and stuff. It was.
Mm.
I was
Fringe.
I was never allowed to really use it when it was mostly being used. There was a rule growing up that you had to be 13 or older to
Wow.
play with the pool table.
Hmm.
And so it was really popular at Christmas time. My cousins would play pool when we'd get together on Christmas Eve. But by the time I was 13 and old enough, they weren't playing as much because they were all married with kids at that point and were otherwise occupied as they should be. But
I see.
I missed out on many hours of
Wow.
pool games just because I'm a lot younger.
That's a sad story.
But there was fringe around the pool table, and I got to be around while the cousins were playing pool, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of fun memories of me bothering them. So
Yeah, there are a lot of good memories that involve bothering people. Kind of like the memories we make every week on Two Poor Artists, where we're just clearly bothering people. Like, they come here to be bothered, so clearly they want to be bothered.
so
But
I think that just means that they're not being bothered.
yeah,
If they're coming,
like there are some people who just
subjecting themselves to poor art.
there are some people who just aren't bothered enough in life, so they have to add bother to their lives, and that's what we're here for.
You know what? It's definitely a void in some people's lives, and we are more than happy to fill that void.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're here for you. We're here to bother you any day. Any day. These are not marshmallows, by the way. I just want to make that clear because I keep thinking they're marshmallows, and it's kind of making me hungry for marshmallows. But we'll add
You know what? I'm going to decide they are.
marshmallows
Marshmallows.
full of water.
Well, that's a little less appetizing, I suppose.
Yeah, nobody wants watery marshmallows. Like, that's just gross. Like, you put a marshmallow in water, I don't even know what it would do. Nobody's ever tried.
Because why would you?
Yeah, would it like soak it all up like a sponge?
Uh-oh.
Imagine
Just-
biting a watery marshmallow.
Would it just dissolve into weird, gross sugar water?
Yeah. I don't
If you're
even.
gonna put marshmallows into
Or maybe it
like a
floats
drink,
like a boat.
I mean, it floats in hot chocolate.
Yeah, but it also kind of melts in hot chocolate.
Yeah.
But people don't put marshmallows in anything else, so it's really hard to tell what would happen to it.
Right. I mean, like I like marshmallows in cereal, but they're not they're a different sort of marshmallow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your
Yeah,
little Lucky
those
Charms
are
or
like
marshmallow
freeze
babies.
dried marshmallows, I think. Like astronaut marshmallows.
Have you ever put Lucky Charms marshmallows in hot chocolate?
I have not, but that sounds really good.
They were surprisingly good. It's like, you know, when you get like the hot chocolate and the little individual packets, like you can get ones that come with marshmallows like
Mm-hmm.
in them. They're just
Oh yeah.
the freeze dried ones. But a couple of years ago, you could actually buy like Swiss Miss hot chocolate packets
Ooh,
that also came with a little mini, with also a little packet of Lucky Charms marshmallows to put in.
that sounds really good.
They were.
There was a
I
time.
mean, like
Yeah.
they tasted about what you would expect of just, you know, you sticking freeze dried marshmallows in your hot cocoa, but no, it was fun. Like you had all the pretty colors, and that one looks rather disapproving with his jelly bean feet.
Yeah, I was gonna give him legs, but this felt more right. Maybe I'll give this guy legs. I'll give people a conundrum about what pools are supposed to actually look like on the bottom. Like, is this guy just like kneeling?
Those look like music notes.
Yeah, music notes versus jelly bean feet. Pool,
Yeah.
Pools have two options.
They're probably two factions in the jelly bean or
Mhm.
the pool community.
So anyway, we got two pools, and they're playing pool. And you know how I remember pool working is you have the cue ball, right?
Right.
And then you got stripes and you got solids, right? And then you got the 8-ball, right? Like you got to knock all of your color in, and then the 8-ball, right? That's how pool works, I think.
I think so.
See, when I saw a pool table growing up, I just knew that family was rich. That's pretty much how it was. Pillars outside the house, you're rich. If you have a pool table, you're also rich. Like
Yeah.
that's just pretty much how it boiled down to. I never knew any rich people.
Right.
People had air hockey tables. They were like, you know, middle class.
Right.
People have foosball tables, also middle class. If you have like a one of those ones that's like 6-in-1, like it's a pool table, it's an air hockey table.
Oh, I had a miniature one of those.
That's how you know you're just not rich, right? Because like that's just you couldn't afford to buy each of them separately. Anyway, I had none of them growing up, absolutely none. But here's the deal: two pools playing, they're tied, right? Like it's tied. They each have one left, and the 8-ball and the cue ball, right? And it's
Down
this
to
guy's
fire.
turn. And you know how like when you play pool, if you have I'm not really sure why he's holding it like a baton or a sword, but he is. This guy's holding his down because it's not his turn yet, and that's why he's so upset. You see, because in pool you have like a huge advantage if it's your turn because you get to keep hitting the balls in until you know. Like I'm racking my brain to try to remember how pool's played. I think that's right. And you get the little blue chalk on the end. Like that's how you knew somebody was good at pool when they like wanted to put chalk on the end of the pool cue, and you're like, I don't think that would make any difference for me.
Right.
You know, like you're like that guy knows what he's doing.
I just thought it was.
Like
Yeah,
he's just
I just like the chalk.
yeah, exactly
At
right.
my
It was
grandparents'
always
house, we didn't
blue,
have blue chalk at my grandparents' house.
No?
It was pink.
pink chalk. See, that's still fun.
I mean, you know,
That's girl chalk.
6-year-old me would, you know, want to put my finger in the chalk and put my finger pink.
Mm-hmm.
But
There might be a reason they had a 13 and up rule at your grandparents' house. If you were painting with the chalk,
I mean, I
But-
wouldn't do anything. I just turned my finger pink. But no, they were wise. But I liked playing with the fringe around the pockets on the corners and the
yeah.
sides.
Oh yeah, like the little tassels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like braid them and stuff too.
Do you remember how like guys' dress shoes used to have little tassels on them? You ever
Yes.
see those?
Oh yes.
Those things are the worst. Like that's like
For sure.
that's how you know you're like a snob. Like you're like a businessman, but you're an old
It's
businessman.
like people try calling
come
them
from old
fancy
money.
tassels and stuff, but really they're just a flag to alert people.
Yeah, just a flag to alert people that you just shouldn't be talked to. Like you're
Yeah.
too important for them, right? Like they just see your shoes dangling in the wind. Like just you come in and you stop, but your shoes don't
Yeah.
quite stop.
Yeah.
They're still flapping around for a second.
Yeah, that's just what they're there for. They
Yeah.
serve that practical purpose.
But here's the deal: if you have those kind of shoes, you also have the kind of money to buy a pool table. That's just how it works.
This is also true.
Yeah, see? Anybody who has a pool table probably has, oh gosh, that line's in an interesting spot, has enough money to buy. Yeah, no, that I guess he's standing on the background line somehow. He's just hoisted himself up. Maybe he has like a
Puts his
little.
foot on the wall.
Maybe he has like
for
a little.
balance.
Maybe he has like a little stool because he's so short. Has like
It's kind of like a
non-slip.
like a doggy food dish or something.
Yeah, upside down, so he could. Yeah, because he's so short. I don't know how either of them honestly are seeing what's on the table.
I'm not sure.
When you have pools playing pool,
It's like they're tied, and there's only one ball each left for them. But who knows
maybe there's
how
like
many times they've been hitting these balls around the table because
Yeah.
they just can't see and they're just blindly hitting them.
It's true.
Like it's a miracle that the 8 ball is still in play.
Yeah, right. Like there's
this
some
point.
there's some amount of skill going on here. Maybe
I
they
don't know. I'm not convinced it's not just pure undefiled luck.
maybe there is a way they can see up there. Maybe there's like a camera or something. We'll just go with luck. Like this game takes forever. Most games of pool end by somebody accidentally knocking in the 8 ball because it's just,
Yeah.
like I don't even know how he's gonna use this thing. Like I feel like he's swinging it like a baseball
Well,
bat.
it's not even long enough for him to use both hands.
No, he's like pool's playing pool is quite the interesting game. Yeah, I'll give him noses. That'll help. Now they look slightly less like marshmallows. I think the more facial features you give a marshmallow, the less it looks like.
They look like cups of hot cocoa.
Well, you know what? They kind of do.
That you need to put marshmallows in.
I could add some marshmallows.
They're pools of hot cocoa for the marshmallows.
Mm-hmm. This one's a Tide Pod. I got it mixed up.
He's a Tide pool.
Yeah, he used to be a Tide Pod poacher pool, but in his retirement, he just plays pool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's already
Yeah.
made it big, right?
Mm-hmm. And there's like, I don't know that I've ever watched pool being played on TV, but I imagine there's like a scoreboard, right?
Oh, I'm sure.
And the scoreboard just like, it has pool 1 and pool 2. You think that's player 1 and player 2? It's not. It's pool 1 and pool 2.
Oh, of course.
And it just says, tied. Player, yeah, they're tied.
Yeah.
The pools are tied at playing pool. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Tied pool. Tied pool.
You got the D and the E flipped around.
No, I didn't. But I did think about it for quite a while when you said it, because that is a humongous possibility. Isaac A. Joe. The pen wants me to write in cursive here. 31. All right. That looks, like poor art.
It does.
Yeah. Tide pools.
Tide pools.
I think we did a great job. And by a great job, I mean
I think
we're right on brand.
Poor job today.
It's wonderful, right? You have pools filled with marshmallows. That's exactly what people tuned in to see.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah, that's just how it goes.
Like the one on the right side there looks like he has music notes for feet. Are those music notes tied?
Yes, they are. Yeah, and jelly bean feet. The 2 kinds of feet that pools have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, we're good.
Are their shoelaces tied?
Oh man, we could have gone so much further with this. You can't really see their shoelaces, but you can rest assured. Yeah. When we expand the pool culture, like we have calendar people in like 10 different videos. We're gonna have pool people in future videos too.
Oh.
You can just learn more and more about the lore of the pool people.
As we said, we are an educational channel.
Educational channel above many other things.
Yeah.
Poor art channel, then an educational channel, then a hotel seeking channel.
Oh yeah.
There's lots of labels you could put on this channel, but all of them start with poor.
Yes.
Well, thanks for filling in again. Thanks for drawing tide pools with me. And all of you who made it to the end of the videos, thanks for sticking around this long. And you can look forward to soon seeing the Two Poor Artists road trip video. If you haven't already seen, we did a mic check for that video. It's already up on our channel. You can go back and watch that and see our faces for the first time ever on our channel.
Definitely the first time.
Not the first time on the internet, but we don't talk about that. See you next time.
Bye.
As always, we're surprised you made it this far into our video.
There's no way we could possibly ask you to subscribe to this atrocity, so we won't.
We would say share it with your friends, but it's probably better for wasting your enemy's time.
We're probably not going to get any better, but we will keep drawing.
See you next time.